Today's cryptid is the knot deer of Tennessee. Put it on the board, Anna. The knot deer. Hello there, and welcome back to Creepy American Cryptids. Today's episode takes place in Tennessee, where an unusual species of creatures has been encountered. During this episode, we will explore the area where the monster was sighted, a description of these creatures, a documented encounter with these cryptids, and what the knot deer of Tennessee may actually be. The setting. The knot deer are reported to dwell in several areas along the Appalachian Mountains, with the majority of sightings occurring in the state of Tennessee. These sightings mostly happen in East Tennessee, near the border of the state. Sightings and encounters with the knot deer mostly occur in and around the Appalachian Mountains, Appalachian Roads, and the Appalachian Trail. The creature. The knot deer are described during sightings and encounters as looking like a typical deer when viewed from a distance. However, upon closer inspection, it becomes apparent that they are not a normal type of deer. Eyewitnesses claim that the knot deer is not afraid of people and appears to have an unnatural amount of emotion and intellect that adds to its disturbing nature. These creatures are reported to have movements similar to a newborn deer, with it wobbling around as if it is still learning how to use its legs. Its odd movements add to the eeriness of encounters, with its ability to walk on its hind legs. This is strange, as the knot deer also appear to be the size of an adult deer or larger. Some eyewitnesses believe that this is due to the knot deer having additional joints in its legs, or possibly being double jointed. The creature's body includes longer than average limbs when compared to a standard deer, and a larger barrel-shaped chest. A common description of this monster is that it is larger than a deer, but with similar characteristics and covered in brown and black fur. Additional common features include large glowing eyes and long pointed ears. Knot deer are also described as having hooves, front legs that nearly resemble arms, and visible bones and ribs. The obvious sight of an underlying skeletal structure gives the knot deer an undead or zombie-like appearance. Some sightings report that the creature has antlers, while other reports say that it does not. Upon closer inspection, the knot deer's sound and appearance is described by many as a cross between a deer and a wolf. However, this creature can also move quickly and silently without leaving behind any tracks. This cryptid is also described as moving more aggressively than a typical deer. The most obvious trait of the knot deer is that its eyes are located on the front of its head rather than the sides. This trait denotes it as a predator species. This trait is also the first clue that something is unusual when someone believes they are witnessing a regular deer, which turns out to be a knot deer. Many witnesses describe encounters with the knot deer as feeling as though someone or something is wearing a deer's skin or pretending to be a deer. Another common factor in encounters is a feeling of dread and unease while in the knot deer's presence. The encounters. Although many encounters with the knot deer exist, they are also very similar in nature. The following is an example of one of these encounters with the knot deer. A man was riding a motorcycle and describes his encounter with the knot deer on the Appalachian Trail. He explains he was having trouble sleeping and went out for a ride to an overlook on the trail. However, after reaching the overlook, he stops his bike and immediately has a feeling of unease in the complete darkness, which he described as unnatural. While leaning against his bike for about 10 minutes, looking over the overlook, his feeling of unease had only increased with each passing moment. He recalls the hair on the back of his neck standing up, as he felt that he was being watched by something unseen. The man describes a sheer drop in front of him and a mountain behind him, leading to him turning to face the mountain rather than the sheer cliff face. Another 10 minutes passes while the man faces the mountain, still in complete darkness, with his anxiety growing and a holstered handgun at the ready. Realizing his fear was not going to subside and was only growing worse, the man got back on his bike and got ready to leave the area to return home. The man was riding back out of the closed park that contained the overlook at half the speed limit to minimize the chance of crashing into wildlife in the all-consuming darkness. As he neared the exit gate of the park, a large creature came into view. Standing on the left mountainside of the road, the creature's eyes were visible in the darkness before the bike's headlights brought the entire body into view. He describes the creature as if someone drew a deer after only having ever been given a description of a deer and never having seen a deer themselves. The man continues to describe the cryptid as larger than a deer, with a bovine-like head, long wolf-like legs, and a barrel-chested body. Its deer-wolf-cow hybrid appearance was very disturbing to the man, as he states it creeped him out. However, the monster was in his path, and rerouting around the creature would have added an additional 30 miles to his journey home. To travel in the needed direction, the man would have to pass by very closely to this abnormality. So the man decided that he needed to somehow scare the monster out of the path. Unfortunately, the man was unaware that the not deer will attack when startled or provoked in any way. After stopping about 30 feet away from the creature to try to frighten it away, flashing his high beams at the creature did not work. Revving the engine also did not work. Even honking the horn repeatedly did not faze the creature. He tried yelling at the creature and then walked toward the side of the road to find something to throw at the creature. This was a really bad decision. As the man crossed the road, the not deer rose up on his hind legs, took a few awkward steps towards the man, and froze, staring directly at him. The man put his gun against his holster as if he was readying himself for a bizarre gunfighter shootout. Suddenly, the creature began shaking its head wildly, took a few more steps, and then hopped on its hind legs into the darkness as the man was drawing his pistol from its holster. As the man hurried back to his bike, he shined his headlight in the direction of the creature and realized there was a sheer drop and the creature had disappeared. However, somehow the creature's head was still peeking over the sheer edge, glaring at him. The man could not figure out how this was possible unless the cryptid was floating in midair above the cliff. He started his bike, hit the throttle, and sped away from the scene. After this event, the man never returned to this area at night and never on his own. The man recounts that the creature did not seem like it was from around these parts, and would prefer that it returned to whatever hellish place it had come from. Theories. A primary theory for this cryptid is that the not deer is a deer with birth defects. This theory is supported by its unusual head shape and walking patterns. A secondary theory is that the not deer are simply deer who are in the early stages of CWD, or chronic wasting disease, also known as the zombie deer syndrome. This theory is supported by the first sign of CWD, being difficulty in movement. A second sign is changes in behavior, which also cause shaking, twitching, and a loss of fear of humans. A third sign is the loss of muscle tissue, accounting for the visibility of bones and the irregular shapes and movements of the creature's legs. A tertiary theory for this cryptid is that the not deer is a real creature. This theory is supported by its unusual appearance as a combination of several animals. Additional support for this theory includes its glowing eyes and supernatural abilities, such as causing fear in the minds of other creatures, and potential additional abilities, such as the ability to float. This ability could explain the creature's ability to float in front of a sheer cliff face, or its ability to move quickly and silently without leaving any visible prints in the terrain. Conclusions. Many researchers believe that the not deer are a supernatural force that may be similar in nature to a skinwalker. There are clues such as the not deer being a hybrid of several creatures, while cryptids like the skinwalkers are known to be shape-changers. This is a fair conclusion, as the reported encounters with these creatures and similar creatures range from the present day back to Navajo folklore describing witchcraft and shapeshifting. We may never have the answers to all the questions and theories posed on this species of cryptid. However, one thing is for certain: something that looks almost like a deer, but is not a deer, continues to stalk the Appalachian mountains, roads, and trails. If you find yourself traveling in these parts of eastern Tennessee, keep your eyes open. If you see a creature resembling a large, misshapen deer, you may be in the presence of the not deer of Tennessee. If you come in contact with these cryptids, do not provoke them, but instead go in the opposite direction and try not to draw attention to yourself. The intentions, abilities, intelligence, and capabilities of the not deer are still unclear. So if you do not want to be killed by a zombie deer wolf cow, use caution. Stay safe out there, and see you next time, my friends.